But listen, I gotta get going. Make a few stops. I just went to go see my mom. Came straight here.
All right, man.
How could you kill someone you love?
Some say you're not a real killer till you do.
He was recently freed from prison off a prosecutorial misconduct inquiry. He has no known surviving next of kin.
With Season 5 being the final season of Power Book 3 Raising Kanan and the introduction of Breeze, there are a lot of questions that have to be answered before we shift to Origins. But most notably, we have to find out what ended up happening to Rock. In my last video, I mentioned how I believed that Kanan saw Unique approaching in the window directly behind Rock, just before the camera faded to black. And how the shot that we heard was Unique shooting Rock. It would make the most sense for Unique to be the one who shoots Rock, after we've seen him tell Rock numerous times that he's coming for her. Now yes, I am aware of the behind-the-scenes footage that showed Rock, Jukebox, Marvin, and Lou sitting at the dinner table, but this definitely looks like it could be a hallucination scene. This could be a very similar scene to when Monet had her dream sequence when she was in a coma in Season 5 of Book 2. This dream sequence could be why actress Patina Miller was spotted on set of Season 5 last year. I believe that the very first episode of Season 5 will be a flashback, very similar to Episode 1 of last season, where we will see where Marvin, Lou, and Jukebox were at the time leading up to the final scene with Kanan and Rock. Now there's a good chance that someone else like Jukebox or Marvin could have made it just in time before Kanan pulled the trigger, which could have resulted in Rock not being shot at all. And if this is actually the case, I believe that Rock could survive all the way up until the final episode of Season 5, where we could get a cliffhanger not knowing whether or not Rock died or if she ended up fleeing the South Side. And if Rock somehow survives, or makes it out alive, that could leave the door open for a potential cameo appearance in Tariq's next spin-off. Rock is currently in her 30s and raising Kanan, and while she would be in her late 60s to early 70s in the current Power timeline, I do believe that if she were to make an appearance, she could give Tariq valuable advice on running his own operation. For those of you questioning the current timeline in Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, Season 1 took place in the first half of 1991 where Kanan was 15 finishing up his sophomore year. Season 2 started off in 1991 where it picked up at the start of Kanan's junior year, after he spent the summer with his Aunt Deb. Season 2 transitioned into 1992 during Episode 7. This is proven when you can hear Jukebox and her date discuss watching The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which was a movie that was released on January 10, 1992. Season 3 took place entirely in the first half of 1992 while Season 4 picked up during the summer of that same year. The latest date that we have currently is October of 1992, which is shown in Episode 6 when Jukebox is looking at Famous's obituary. This would mean that Jukebox is 18, which was revealed in Season 3 of Episode 6 by Marvin.
Heartbreak looked like my daughter.
How old?
18.
While Kanan is 17 heading into his senior year of high school. After we were finally introduced to Breeze, and after hearing Snaps tell him about their plans to use Unique's Italian connect Phil Russo until they don't have any use for Unique anymore, this opens the door for a potential clash between Unique and Breeze, where I could see Breeze taking out Unique after getting the order from Snaps and Pop. But I also wouldn't rule out Lou being the one to kill Unique. But I get the feeling that Breeze will unknowingly come across hearing Snaps and Pop discuss Famous and Crystal's death, and he could bring this information back to Kanan. Even though Breeze is related to Snaps and Pop, I think that he wouldn't have a problem with Kanan wanting to get revenge for Famous and Crystal's death, because Breeze follows the code of the streets. And I think that Breeze could want to get Snaps and Pop out of the way, so that he could be on top and call the shots on the South Side. Next season will likely build up Breeze's character, giving us his backstory, while also showing the different layers to his character. Snaps mentioned that Breeze was very intelligent, and is about his business. I believe we will likely see Breeze's fascination with the game show Jeopardy, and we will see how Breeze centers his entire life around a daily routine, just as the adult version of Kanan mentioned in Power. We will start to see Breeze become an influence on Kanan, where Kanan will likely start wearing jewelry and designer clothes. In Season 5, Kanan will start making more money than he ever has before, and he will start to level up. But I think that some of Kanan's crew will either get killed or get scared after something happens, and this will leave Kanan in need of more people to move his product. And this could be where Tommy Egan comes into play. In my opinion, Kanan will likely come across Tommy on the streets, seeing him spray paint graffiti on buildings. A few months back, the actor who played the young version of Tommy in the post-credit scene of Power, Ethan Kutkoski, had an Instagram video a few months ago where he was seen in what appeared to be New York, where he was standing in front of an apartment building that resembled the same apartment that Crystal was killed in. But since then, that video has disappeared from his Instagram page. Now it could be nothing, but I don't think that was a coincidence. But in my opinion, I believe that Ghost's father will actually be the first person introduced next season. Lou will likely realize that he can't run his nightclub and focus on music at the same time, and this could lead to Lou selling the club to Ghost's father and Uncle Gabe, where they end up turning Lou's nightclub into an after-hours jazz spot. I think that Kanan will be unaware of Lou selling the club and show up one day where he comes across both Tommy and Ghost. But that will likely take place in the final episode of next season. Showrunner Sasha Penn already stated a while ago that he won't exactly go by the original timeline and ages that were mentioned in Power, and he also recently hinted at Tommy and Ghost appearing in Season 5 of Power. And after the debut of Breeze, it's only right that we get Tommy and Ghost next season, transitioning them into Power Book Origins. Now there are some people who seem to believe that Ghost already appeared last season as the young kid who stole out of the corner store that ended up finding Famous's body. But in my opinion, a character as big as Ghost will have a formal introduction into the series just like we saw with Breeze, instead of just randomly throwing his character into a random episode without any dialogue. There's also speculation out there that D-Wiz's brother will finally make his debut next season. We've seen Lou go through his ups and downs throughout the last 4 seasons, and he finally seems to be on the right track. But as we know with Power, whenever things seem to be going good for a main character, there's normally a death or tragic event that eventually happens. And in Lou's case, I believe that D-Wiz's older brother will be the one who takes Lou out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Birilla is somehow secretly tied to D-Wiz's older brother. I think that Lou won't see it coming, and this will likely take place in the mid-season break or in the finale of Season 5. I also feel like Pernessa will somehow get killed in the crossfire if D-Wiz's brother's crew ends up ambushing Lou, or if Stefano and the mob target him. After we saw Phil Russo tell Unique that Stefano survived the stabbing, there's a good chance that Stefano will assume that Rock and Marvin were responsible for his fish store being set on fire, especially after we saw Stefano cut ties with Rock and Marvin in the finale of Season 4. I wouldn't be surprised if Stefano becomes an informant and snitches on Marvin for Sal's death. They've been slowly building up Marvin's death ever since last season, and there were numerous moments last season where it seemed like Marvin would get taken out, but he ended up making it out alive unscathed. If Marvin somehow makes it out alive next season, I could see him heading to Washington, D.C. with Jukebox. I think that Jukebox will likely be around when Tommy and Ghost are introduced, because in the OG Power series, Tommy referred to her as Crazy. So it's likely that Jukebox will meet Tommy and Ghost before she goes off to Baltimore. There's a chance that we could get a time jump at some point next season, but if we don't, then I expect for Kanan to meet Jerita in Power Book Origins, where Sean will likely be born. Now you may be wondering why we have to wait an entire year before we get to see Season 5 of Raising Kanan. Well, we have to take into account that Power Book Origins has not even started filming yet. And there's a good chance that Origins could premiere a few months after the conclusion of Season 5. I expect for there to be a trailer for Power Book Origins sometime around when Tariq's next spin-off premieres, which will likely be around the summer of next year. One thing is for sure, Season 5 will definitely have to live up to the hype, especially after the introduction of Breeze. I'm curious to hear your early predictions for next season. Let me know down below in the comment section. You can expect the return of the very popular series on my channel very soon, and there is some major information that I was made aware of over a year ago that I never mentioned on my channel before. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all things within the Power universe. See you all next time in the universe of Power.